Hey, good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode. This is episode 11 or 10 of the Daily Dose. 10. I think we're in 10. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, 10th episode of the Daily Dose. Welcome. My name is Mark Avens. You call me Coach Mark. On a side note, I'm the creator of the Lean Body Breakthrough, an online coaching program designed specifically for men and women over 40 who are looking to lose weight and get in better shape without long workouts and impossible diets. Now, today I wanted to share with you another daily dose. And why I'm doing this show, let me just share with you quickly, is really when we wake up in the morning and throughout our days and right now, we're getting a lot of doses of stuff, right? Daily doses. And while it seems like there's an apparent increase of a number of daily doses of stress and anxiety and fear and worry and frustration and just, out of our norm, I wanted to turn the other side of the coin and say, let's do some encouragement. So this essentially is a daily dose of encouragement. If you haven't been following me and this is your first time, thank you so much. The only thing I ask is that if you enjoy this, that you share it with somebody. If somebody needs some encouragement today and you found this helpful for you, or if you've gone back and checked out any of the other ones or the ones in the future, if you enjoy those and find those useful, at 8 a.m. Eastern time, I'll be coming on here live kind of indefinitely. I'm just putting the pledge right now for the rest of April, every single day at 8 a.m. I'm going to give you some of my time to share with you a daily dose of encouragement. And today, we're going to kind of play off of yesterday's dose of encouragement, and that was talking about patience, because I'm definitely finding, myself included, and even with family and kids and stuff, as patient, it's really, really hard right now. Just having patience, if you will. And I don't know, this my ear thing here is kind of clicking in and out, so it might be dead. So let me just take that out. Sometimes I just put that in because it gets a little loud out here. It's not loud with cars, it's loud with birds and all kinds of creatures and animals and stuff. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about something that maybe if you're a believer, if you're a Christian, and again, this is a message that's not just for Christians and so forth, but just kind of on a side point, I am a believer. I have faith in God and Jesus, belief in Jesus. I did say the J word on a side note, but we're going to talk about the fruit of the Spirit, because as I was thinking about patience, I was thinking about the scripture that's in Galatians, and Paul wrote to Galatians it was Galatians 5. I don't have the exact, yes, 5:22. I wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget. That 47-year-old mind, sometimes, it goes just out there sometimes. That's why I got to write stuff down. So I have a little journal and I write down my thoughts of what I want to share on a daily basis. So let me just share this with you, and then I'll get into it. And again, regardless if you have faith or not, even if you're not too sure about the whole God thing, if you're thinking about maybe praying and wondering what this whole, like, man, right now is the time I could really use some God in my life, let me just hope that this message finds you well. The fruit of the Spirit. So that's the title of today's daily dose. And if you have heard, maybe you've heard of it and you're familiar with Galatians 5:22 and 23, and I'll just read it quickly and then we're going to get into it. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. So if you think about just kind of putting that to the side for a minute, and we talked about patience the other day, and actually I wish I had thought about this verse, and actually somebody had shared it with me the other day, and that's why I feel really just encouraged by this message, because I feel like it's those things that I need to work on the most. Sometimes when I don't feel very loving or feeling loved by others, it makes me come back to that fruit of the Spirit. And fruit, if you think of like what fruit is, and I grew up on a farm, so actually I've been around more vegetables than fruit. My grandfather was a potato farmer, and if you think of like what fruit is, and whether it's a vegetable or fruit, it's like the product. I looked it up, and in the Greek, it's actually the natural product of the living thing. It's like what you get, the fruit of you. You hear like the fruit of your investment, the value. Maybe you're not thinking about financial investment right now, but I want to share with you just the fruit of it, really the product of this living thing. And Paul actually used the fruit to help us understand the product of the Holy Spirit who lives inside of us as believers. So, and again, this is a good message regardless if you kind of understand the whole faith thing or not. So do listen up, because you can apply it regardless of what that looks like. And then live inside of you, whether that's your beliefs, whether it's a higher power, or just that there's a fruit that's bared, and that's like the product. And basically what you put time into. You think about a farmer, like I think back to my grandfather, and really he was older when we lived on the farm. I was the fifth generation growing up on the farm, and when there was potatoes and vegetables, we had people that were working on them, but we also had to make sure a lot of things were set up. Like we had to make sure the soil was right, the seeds was planted. You had to make sure the elements, if we didn't have water, that we got water on it. We had sprinkler systems and that sort of stuff. If you've ever seen any farms, whether it be like a sod farm here in Florida, or a palm tree farm, or up north, or you see any plants, and even if somebody maybe like a fruit tree, you have to kind of see where the soil is it good and fertile. And here's the thing is, you have to, as a farmer, you have to work and you put effort and time into it. If you don't, then what happens is the fruit ends up not bearing much fruit, or becomes really just, for lack of a better word, a crappy crop. Like the crop that you produce after becomes really just terrible. Like you don't have any fruit. Now, if you're talking about food, you think of in the sense with food is that then you don't have anything to eat, right? And that can't nourish you. So just think of on that side term when we talk about the fruit of the Spirit. Now, the Spirit that lives inside of you, if you're a believer, is understanding that what we have to do as farmers is do what we need to produce the fruit. And that includes the fruit of the Spirit, which is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And I can tell you, these are things that I'm being challenged by. I don't know about you, but I'm finding myself challenged by those right now. And what's interesting, I also looked this up, is the Greek word for fruit, which is interesting because it's a unified word, right? Like you can think as apple as a piece of fruit, but you can think of apples as fruit as well. It's not an independent characteristic, which is really cool, because as we grow, all of our characteristics that we have, and as believers, is that those are things that are manifested in our lives. And that's what's really, really awesome about that. And so, that's what kind of makes me think of today. The encouragement for you is, what are you farming right now? So as if you are a farmer, which again, all of you are to some extent, and you can relate yourself to a farmer because you are doing something. You are going to bear fruit somehow after. And now it might not be good fruit. It might be negativity and pessimism, and the glass is half empty, and the world is ending, and my situation and circumstances are unlike anybody else's. I'm wrecked. I don't have a job. And those are all things that are legit. Like, don't get me wrong, they're all legit. But I can tell you is that if that's what's focused on your mind as a farmer, if that's what you're tilling, if those are the things that you're watering on a daily basis, and right now it's so important, because I see a lot of people that are discouraged, that are stressed out, that are worried about their jobs and families, and not to say that you shouldn't be concerned. There's a concern. But is it that what you're going to water, or your concern is going to lead you into acting, to taking action, what you need to do, the steps you need to do to take care of your mindset, to take care of your physical health? Again, I talk about physical health all the time, and I'm not even talking about that right now. I'm just talking as a farmer, as today. If you think of yourself as a farmer, and you all are, right now, today, maybe in the last couple days, in the last couple of weeks, you've been farming, right? You've been doing something. You've been tilling up something. You've been maybe watering something. Is it doubt and fear and frustration? Are you getting pissed off at the people, what they post on there? Are you getting negativity? Are you watching news day in and day out and getting so caught up in the fear? And again, there's a difference between being concerned and understanding what's going on, and then knowing that you can either live by all of those fearful things and allow that to be what you're farming, or you can farm the other direction and look into the fruit of the Spirit. Now look, as believers, let me talk just kind of side here to Christians, is we need to be very diligent in our time that we spend pursuing the fruits of the Spirit. So I just want to encourage you today in the fruit of the Spirit, back to it, and let me just say it again. Because we are farmers, as believers, as Christians, we're farming, and you know what? Other people are watching. Also, you guys that are farming all the junk and the nonsense and the craziness and posting anger and frustration, and I get it, those are all real feelings. But I would say is, if that's what you're farming, that's what you're going to produce as fruit after. And I can tell you, you're going to come out far worse than maybe you're even feeling right now. Again, and that's not just on the circumstances, that's just an overall reality. Again, this is not anything I made up, this is just the truth. I write down daily inspiration and affirmations on a daily basis, and I have 15 of them. At the end is the things that we pay attention to have the potential to change the direction of our life. So whatever you pay attention to today as a farmer is what you're going to produce fruit-wise down the road. And I can tell you, there's been a lot of things in my life in the past, outside of, growing up in a farm and that sort of stuff and having to do chores. Yes, that was all that kind of stuff. what I would say is I've definitely been in moments where I've really, let the fruit of the Spirit honestly get the best of me. I wasn't thinking of those things. I was thinking hate and thinking, not joy, sadness, and unpeace, and whatever, lack of patience, bitterness instead of kindness, goodness and badness, faithfulness and not gentle, anger and not self-control. All of those things they're fruits, but they're not fruits of the Spirit. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I just want to encourage you as we give, and this is the one thing I feel like has been really helped and define in my life, is that as I've been pouring more into the Spirit, as I've been actually caring for others, one of the things that helps me and why I'm doing this, I'll just tell you, it's kind of, there is a selfish, I will say, to be completely open, that there is something selfish about this, why I'm doing this, because what happens is I've found, I actually talked about it in my men's group last night. I've been on an online men's group with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and it's been really great. We've been sharing our frustrations and struggles. And one of the things we talked about is, and actually one of the wise guys and wise older gentlemen in our group, he shared with us about when you caring for others, it's easy to get self-centered and self-focused, but when you start to care for others and you start to allow that, if you start to allow the fruits of the Spirit draw to other people, you start to love on people and you have more patience for people, you have more peace and more kindness and goodness and faithfulness towards other people. You realize that can actually help you get through. And I say this because my only hopes in this is that I be of encouragement to you. If you have, I do this online on a daily basis for my business as a coach. I'm an online coach, and I help people in their health and fitness journey. With as I mentioned earlier, my Lean Body Breakthrough Coaching Program. And while it's completely online and I'm pretty comfortable with this, is that it's definitely easy, for me to say, well, I got it all together. Everything's, set up. We're good to go. And my clients, and I tell you, I've had some conversations with clients that are struggling right now. And part of me is being able to step out of what I'm struggling maybe with my business and family and all that, and to helping others. So as you walk, if you need an action step to help you with the fruit of the Spirit, is today. And maybe instead of thinking of all the fruits for yourself, because again, you have to be that farmer. It doesn't just happen overnight. The farmer doesn't just throw the seeds down and the next day he wakes up and there's a crop waiting for him of beautiful fruits and vegetables sitting there. No, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes tilling the soil, it takes watering if you need to, it takes effort. And that can be on a side note with regards to your health. If you need to take care of your health right now and you need help, reach out to me and I'll help you how to get the seeds planted right, how to till the soil, what you need to do so you can be successful. If we're talking about fruit of the Spirit, and you want to kind of get to terms with being encouraged and not allowing this bitterness and anger and frustration and stress and all that anxiety fill in, you have to work it as a farmer. It isn't just going to happen itself. And I would say is try just the best you can to not do it yourself. If you need to come on here every day, it's part of the reason. If I can just encourage one person today by learning the fruit of the Spirit. Now, as a Christian, I can tell you is that I'm feeling called and being led by God to encourage others and to provide the love and patience and kindness that I can. Only because, and not because I have any magical, potions, formulas. I'm not a theologian, but it's only because, and the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I felt love, I felt patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, joy by so many others that are believers, that other people in their faith, stronger in their faith, people that have come alongside me, that have helped in my journey when I've been struggling. And don't get me wrong, I know there's going to be struggle. I know right now we're all going to struggle to some extent. It's just I'm going to choose as a farmer to till the things and to work the areas where I can improve in the fruit of the Spirit, because I want to grow closer in my relationship with God. And the only way to do that is to pursue that fruit, not the other kind of fruit that's not from the Spirit. So I hope this finds you well. And listen, if you enjoyed this right now, if you actually found value in this, all I ask is that you share this with one person. Give me some thumbs up and likes, and I also welcome you to ask me questions. We're going to turn this as well over time. Right now, I feel like we need a lot of encouragement, and I need the encouragement as well. So what I would love for you to do is, if you have questions, if you if you enjoyed this, send me a message of encouragement saying, thanks for doing this. If it doesn't, if you don't like it, send me that too. I'd be happy to talk to you about it and say like, hey, we don't need any of this. We just need to watch the news and look at how many people are dying right now. I'm sure that's not what you really need. And maybe that's what we're kind of sold into believing. But anyway, that's all I have. The Daily Dose, we're going to be on here live 8 a.m. until further notice. So, they might say, hey, you can't go on the beaches. You're going to be on lockdown until further notice. Well, until further notice, I'm going to give you the Daily Dose of encouragement. Coach Mark here. Take care and have a blessed day. We'll see you.